Hello everyone, Captain K-Man here with a new tutorial here, focusing on World Traffic 3 since it's brand new. Today we're going to teach you how to get an airport ready to go if it's not already ready to go, So you have World Traffic 3, you managed to get all the Bluebell planes installed properly and all the route data loaded. W3 is configured properly in the in-game menus and you still have no traffic. What gives, you may be thinking? Did I do something wrong? Chances are, at this point, no, you didn't do anything wrong. The designer of the airport you are wanting traffic at did something wrong, and that something is usually a complete lack of a taxi network or working gate network. There appears to be a disturbing number of updated freeware and even more disturbing payware airports that are lacking the proper information needed for World Traffic 3 to work right. Way to think ahead, everyone. You all get an F-. Now, the good news is, even if you have never used any of the editing tools that are out there, like World Editor, also known as WED, or the 3D Editor, known as the Overlay Editor by Marginal, you can pretty easily get your favorite airport up and running. Now, keep in mind, easy does not mean timely. It takes time to set up a network. Anywhere from 15 minutes to up to 4 hours, depending on how complex the airport is and how OCD you are about your airports being spot on to the real thing. Could take even longer than 4 hours, depending on your comfort level with using the tools. Now, this tutorial here isn't going to go into a huge amount of depth on how to use each tool. I'm going to show you the direct steps needed to get World Traffic 3 running, and pretty much nothing else. This assumes you already know how to install World Editor. You already have Overlay Editor installed. For me, both tools are going to be needed for the way that I get World Traffic 3 airports up and running. So you're going to want to have both of those installed yourself. There's plenty of tutorials on how to get those up and running, and a lot of really good tutorials on the basic operations of those whenever possible, if I can remember while I'm doing this tutorial. I will tell you the shortcut keys and stuff to press if you've never used these programs before. So for today's lesson, we have chosen a Nimbus Studio airport. If you saw me any of my videos here for World Traffic 3, you saw me using Nimbus Studio's Phoenix airport, which I did custom routes for that, released those on the org. So I figured let's pick on another Nimbus airport here, because his older airports don't seem to have any taxi information, and the gates are woefully inadequate for our needs. So we are going to take on Buffalo today in our lesson. You can see here in the photo, there's a lot of static aircraft parked at the gates. These aren't World Traffic 3 aircraft. This is just static stuff that was placed in the original scenery. And when you open this airport up in WED for the first time, you'll notice there's a disturbing lack of gates to actually spawn at. So this airport was made a long time ago and was not made with any kind of future enhancements in mind. But with the power of WED and Overlay Editor, we're going to correct all that and make this airport much more usable, and certainly more usable for World Traffic 3. So, that being said, the very first thing I do once I've decided on an airport that I want to work on is I'm going to load that airport into Overlay Editor. We're going to start off with the 3D editor first before we even open up WED. So I've already got Overlay Editor running, and I've already loaded the brand spanking new, just installed a very clean copy of Buffalo in here. I had done previously a lot of extensive editing work. I went ahead and archived that and put it aside and installed a fresh copy of Buffalo so that we're all on the same page together. So here we are. This Buffalo airport uses its own orthographic scenery. You can see all that here. That's all these little squares here. I actually don't use this in my final version that I have. I deleted all his orthos in favor of my own. Mainly because his orthos aren't to scale. They aren't the right size for the actual real world airport. His airport's actually slightly smaller than the real Buffalo airport. And I am OCD as hell when it comes to my airports. I want them to match perfectly with the real world. So I went in to my file and deleted all his ortho stuff. Plus there's some other glaring errors here, like color mismatch and stuff like that. And it just looks really bad when you're coming in for a final approach. and you got these different color squares everywhere. So I dealt with that in my own way and got rid of it. But that is a different lesson. If you want to get crazy like that, I highly recommend you go hunt down tutorials on how to use Overlay Editor to its full potential. But all we're going to use it for today right now is we're going to clear out all the static aircraft that are at the gates. So it's pretty easy. You hold down your middle mouse button to pan around, let go to stop, use your zoom wheel to zoom in and out. And we're just going to come in here and then we're going to left click until the object that we want to edit turns purple here, or cyan or magenta or whatever color you want to call that. It may take several clicks to do that, so just be sure you have that highlighted before you press the delete key on your keyboard here. So once we got it, boom, deleted. Now I'm going to press Control Z here real quick to bring that back. Keep in mind what that aircraft was that we deleted. That is a United aircraft, so this will come in handy later. Come on. There we go. All right, delete. And now I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to kill off all these airplanes one at a time. And moving up here, we'll get rid of this one. And then we'll get rid of this big bad boy here from JetBlue. Moving up here, we'll get rid of this one Southwest plane. That got rid of that guy. Coming around the other side, get rid of this Delta flyer. And we'll get rid of this AirTran. That tells you how old this airport is. That was an AirTran CRJ sitting there. And of course, AirTran is out of business. They were absorbed by Southwest Airlines. So there we go. We have effectively destroyed all of the static aircraft. Oh, wait, no, we haven't. I lied. Let's go over to the cargo ramp here too. We're gonna set up the cargo ramps in our World Traffic 3 file also. So let's get rid of all the FedEx planes. Go away. DHL doesn't even land out in Buffalo anymore. Go away, DHL. Nobody likes you. And then we'll go over to the general aviation ramp here and see what kind of aircraft are sitting around here. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of all his static aircraft over here as well. Come on, clickety click. And there's a little citation. Go away. Click, 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 delete. Click, 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 delete. And that clears the general aviation ramp. All right, so that's it. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click the save button. That's going to save the changes we just did to the DSF file, and that's going to come in handy here in a few moments. So that's all we need to do in Overlay Editor right now. Now, I keep Overlay Editor open because there's other stuff that I may need to finagle and work with when I'm inside World Editor. Like I do know for a fact, while I'm thinking about it here, since it's a fresh copy, there is a shadow that right there, this shadow actually produces a horrible texture mismatch in X-Plane 11. So I'm just going to delete it right now. I don't need it. It's not necessary for X-Plane 11. It may have been necessary for X-Plane 10, but it's useless in X-Plane 11. It actually makes weird textures appear all the way around the airport on the ground that don't belong there. So we're just going to get rid of that file and save it. So we're done there. Next up, we're going to just minimize this, get rid of that. We can get rid of this for now. And we're going to load Buffalo International in World Editor, aka WED. So I'm going to click open. I'm on my other monitor here real quick. Give me just a second. Oh, load for me, please. Nope, you're not going to load for me. Shut down, shut down. Okay, let's try this again. Open. There we go. Yay. All right. So here we are, as I was doing previous editing work, so this stuff's all still here from when I was editing before. Or maybe it's still, oh, it's loading my old hang on, I gotta delete the XML file. Where is that? Where did you store that? There it is. I need to get rid of that. 1 second, because that has all the changes I did previously. So deleted and deleted. Now let's load World Editor. There we go. This is the view that you guys are going to get. You're going to get a completely empty universe here because the Earth WED XML file hasn't been created yet. So the first thing you're going to do when you come in here, you're going to go up to File, and you're going to import the app data file. We're going to then hunt down Buffalo Niagara. Okay, mine's here. We're going to go into the Earth Nav data folder, and then we're going to find the app data file here, and we're going to double click it. This dialog box here will pop up asking you, is this the correct airport? Basically, you select the airport and say import. And there is Buffalo Niagara as Nimbus designed it to be when he first created this airport. So let's load this up here. I'm gonna shrink all these groupings here, and I'm gonna start locking down parts of the airport that I'm not gonna be editing. So windsocks, tower, the taxiways, runways don't need to be moved, markings don't need to be moved, the lights, and ATC. So the only thing that needs to be active really is the ramp starts. Okay, and you can see here, this airport has well over about close to 25 to 30 gates, and Nimbus only supplied us with 5. Well, that's not sufficient for World Traffic 3 to do its job. The cargo ramp only has 1 spot, and the GA ramp only has 2 spots. So this airport is not efficient for World Traffic 3, but we're going to go ahead and fix that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the integrity of his gates that are already here, and I can already tell you I don't like them. I do not like them. They're not really labeled as gates. They're labeled as airlines that are supposed to spawn at the gate. That's completely useless. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold down my left mouse button, drag, and then I'm going to push delete to get rid of that entire gate network. So at this point, we're ready to start building our World Traffic 3 gate network and our taxi route network. So I'm going to start with the gates first. And in order to get our gates accurately aligned up, we're going to now load in the file that we edited using Overlay Editor. This is the DSF file. So we're going to go up to File, Import DSF. The DSF file is always located inside the latitude longitude folder inside the Earth Nav data folder of the airport that you're working on. So you're going to want to go in here, and then we're going to find the DSF file. There it is right there, and we're going to double click that. In just a couple seconds, the airport's going to load in. Boom. So there's the airport that he designed. Okay, and I can already see we're going to have a problem editing this airport because of this big giant white thing that's in our way here. So we need to find out what that is. I think I have an idea of what that is, because what I need to see is let's get to a certain zoom level because I saw it earlier. They actually popped up earlier. Now they're not popping up. Where'd you go? Come on. There they are. These are all the parking spots that he designed in Overlay Editor, that he put in place using Overlay Editor once he developed all the graphics needed to make this part of the airport. And this is what we need to make our new gates. We need to align that. But this big giant white solid block is getting in the way of that. And I think that maybe this object here. Nope, not exclusion zones. We're going to lock the exclusion zones. When you import in the DSF file, it actually creates this grouping here that points directly at the custom scenery folder. And this is all the objects that are inside the DSF file. Okay. Now, let me say this up early. Let me say this up front here. Remember to delete when you go to export the data file, when you're done making your network route, when you're done making your gate networks. Delete this before you export. You do not want this DSF file going with your DAT file. Okay, keep them separated at all times. When you're actually developing airports, the recommended flow is to do all your WED work first, save everything, and then go work in DSF. So you want to keep these things separated because it's real easy to screw yourself over by accidentally leaving all this information in the DAT file, and then it ends up overwriting stuff and things don't work right and it becomes a nightmare. I learned this the hard way, especially when I was laying out my own taxi edge lights, the blue glowy lights. I kept adding them to the wrong file and then exporting and then trying to figure out why the hell my lights weren't appearing in my airport. It's because I kept getting my DSF data and my app data files mixed up and was putting data in the wrong place and deleting stuff that I wasn't supposed to be deleting. So anyway, enough of that explanation. We need to find out what this giant white thing is and why it's getting in the way. I think it's one of these. I think it's one of these. What this white file is, I think this is the night lighting texture pack here. So I can actually come down here and flag a whole bunch of these at once and then hide. Oh, you're not going to let me hide them all at once? Boo! Ah, I thought it was going to let me hide them all at once. It's not going to let me hide them all at once. So, okay, whoop, getting closer. There's the terminal. Come on, you're around here somewhere. Find the landmine. An easy way to find out, or at least get close. There we go. Was that it? Oh, that wasn't good enough. Ah, boo. All right, hang on. We got this. This is happening. Jetways. Yeah, we need that. Come on. What is this big file? Okay, let me give you a little pro tip here. This is why I left Overlay Editor running still. In here, there is a file. If we click, we can see the name of the object in question. And then we can go back over to WED, and we can find this piso mojado file here, which is right here. And we can hide that and see if that's the problem. That was not the problem. So I'm going to click over here again. That's Forma 5 in the way. So we need to find Forma 5. Where are you at? This is kind of the tedious part here. Not every airport that you import in actually screws up like this. We'll go ahead and hide all the orthographics too. We don't need any of that in there. I just need those gates to appear. So let's go back over here. The name of this is Lovidia Forma. So that's all of this stuff here. So that wasn't it either. Man, they're going to make us do this the hard way, aren't they? Nope. 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 We got to find this white area. Whoa, getting closer. It's like hunting down the magic button. Come on. Where are you? I don't want to turn off too much stuff because then I won't have the information that I need to edit this stuff. Autos. Nope. 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 Come on. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find it. Oh, well, there's the terminal. Terminal just showed up again. Where are these files at? Oh, getting closer. Ah, this white thing needs to go away. Go away so I can see what's going on under here. What is this? Oh, don't get rid of that. All right, hang on. I'm going to cut the video out here so we're not left with any more static. I'll be right back once I find out where the hell this white texture is at so I can get rid of it. Haha, I found it. It was this baked object texture here. That was the big giant white grid. All right, fantastic. So we were able to shut that off. So now we can actually see where all the gate lines are, and we can zoom in up close and personal and see what's going on. Look at all the little water splash animations everywhere. Supposedly, in the old days when it rained, you could actually see little water splashes everywhere. I don't think that functions anymore in X-Plane 11. There's new methods of showing wetness. Okay, so we're going to go back up and we're going to go to the ramp starts folder here. I'm going to click in here because I want all my ramps to actually appear there. And now we are ready to start setting up for ramp traffic. So this is how we get the gates going here. Now there's a bunch of gates. I'm going to just do a few of them, and then I'm going to time skip to the completed gate network, and then we'll go over things once we get there. So the first thing up here, whenever you click on the ramp start, it's the O key is the hotkey for that. Up here at the top is our default settings whenever we're dropping down a brand new ramp. So these are the gates. So I want these to be gates. I want jets and turboprops to be available, but not every gate is going to support a turboprop. So what I'm going to do right now, we're just going to set it for jets. We're going to set the default size to C. This determines the size of aircraft that can actually park at the gate. Level C is anything from a 757 downwards. So 757s, then the 737s, and so on and so forth. The ramp operation type must be set to airline, or else you will not get airlines at the gate. So you must set it to airline. Let me back up here to the ramp start types. World Traffic 3 only understands two types of ramp starts, gate and tie down. Miscellaneous and hangar will be ignored. So those are no longer useful when you're developing a taxi route for World Traffic 3. So for now, we want gates. And I'm going to leave the airline box blank because I don't know what airlines go where just yet. And there's a really rapid way of mass changing all these gates once we lay them down. Now, we first need to know what gates are available at this airport. What are these gates? So to do that, we need to have a source of information. And there's two places that I know of right off the top of my head that you can get that information from. One of those is if you have a paid subscription to Navigraph, you can load Navigraph. Try again. And type in your airport over here, and then go down to airport info, parking gates, and coordinates. This file can sometimes be separated. And here's our airport. This is all the taxiways, all their labels, and then more importantly for what we're doing right now, here's all the gate network. All right. The other source is on the web, and that is going to be flightaware.com. Now, this is hit or miss. A lot of the times they do not post the airport gate map on here for whatever reason. But we can go to Browse by Airport, type in kbuff, get airport info, and then we can go over to Maps and Diagrams. See, the Jepson charts they use here don't really show the gate parking, but you can look over here to see if there's more information. They got departures, approaches, special minimums, procedures. Here's all the SIDS and stars. I don't really see any gate information here. Maybe this will help. Airport information. Nope. Well, I thought they had it there. So really the only place I know to get gates really quick and really easily is Navigraph's data source. So you can use these free charts for the actual taxi route layout that we'll do later, because there it is. There's all the runways and taxiways and stuff. They just don't give us the gate information. So you can do a Google search also to see if you can find gate information. And in fact, we're going to do that right now because we do need another little piece of information. Whenever I'm working on an airport, whether it's for World Traffic 3 or just working on an airport, getting it ready, I want to try to find as much information as I can about the real airport. So we're going to do kbuff gate assignments and see if that nets us any good results here. So we got the Buffalo Niagara International Airport guide and terminal map. I'm going to click on that and see how worthy this is. That is not bad at all. The gates are all numbered here, and we do in fact have the carriers for that. So this is awesome. This is a lot of good information that we need here. The only problem I have with this layout here is they have all these NFTA gates here, which is the Niagara Federal Transport Authority, I think. I don't know why these are all labeled as NFTA. I guess anybody and their cousin can use these particular docking ports here, these jetways, docking ports. Oh, yes, we can fly ships around now. Anyway, jetways. So this is a good start, though. This gives us plenty of information that we need here. And if I'm looking here, I'm going to cross-reference this with my Navigraph charts here. So this is gate 1, 2, there's a 2A right here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then it jumps to 10, 12, and then 9. All the some odd numbers are over here. And looking at Navigraph's data, I can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it all corresponds with that beautiful map of Buffalo. So we're going to use both of these pieces of information to help build our gate network. So first, I'm going to get this over on another monitor. Same with you. I'm going to get you over on the other monitor, and we'll just use y'all as reference points here. So for now, we can just start laying down the basic gates. We don't need to worry about which airline is which, because we're going to go back over that later. So for right now, I'm just going to turn on, I almost forgot, turn on ATC taxi plus flow. So when you actually left click and then drag, when you drag like this, this is going to be the direction the gate is facing. So when you let go, a silhouette of the aircraft is going to appear right there on the ground. And that's about the approximate size and shape of a Boeing 737, which is a category C. If I was to change this to a B, oops, not up there. Let's don't do it up there, do it down here. If I come down here and I change that gate to a B, you can see it now becomes your CRJs and Embraers. And if I go to A, it now becomes some weird little tiny turboprop plane that looks like a hammerhead shark. So for right now, we're going to leave this at Charlie, and we're just going to go and just lay all this stuff down real quick. Not going to really worry about anything else at the moment. You may also find that some of the gates are going to be sitting inside the taxi. This will be a great example right here. In Nimbus's original airport, he never has a static plane sitting here, and the player can't spawn here. So in his 3D modeling, he just kind of shoved the jetway down there. So this is kind of something that you can't really do anything about. You have to grin and bear it. Or if you want to get really crazy, you can go into the 3D file, the DSF file, and try moving the gate around yourself. Quite often, though, these gates are all linked together. So if you move one gate, all the gates shift, and then you have a real mess on your hands. So we're not going to bother with it. We'll just live with the fact that some of these planes are going to spawn with part of the gate stuck inside of them. So we're just laying down the basics here for right now. We can adjust everything later. As you can see, it's very quick to lay down a proper gate network. And as I'm dropping each one of these planes down, it's taking all this information at the top and it's automatically filling it in right here with the bare necessities that World Traffic 3 is going to need to work. As I said, I'll reiterate here, ramp start type has to be gate or tie down. Equipment type can be whatever type of equipment you want there. Size, whatever type of size you want there. Ramp operations must be set to airline if you want airlines to spawn in. It must be set to cargo if you want cargo to spawn in. And it must be set to general aviation if you want your little tiny Cessnas and little tiny business jets to appear. And later, we'll do the airlines so we can actually get the proper airlines showing up at these gates. Oh, here's a gate that's just kind of floating out there with nary a care in the world. We'll just add a plane right there just for giggles. One there, and there. Almost done. Using this method, you can see you can get a whole gate network up and running pretty darn quick. It's painless. It's just a little time consuming. Once you get really good at this, it doesn't take any time at all to fix this stuff up. And I think we got 3 gates left, and then we're done with the basics. One there, and that's it. So there we go. We now have a full gate network. And the nice thing is this gate network is usable by the player as well as the AI. So no longer are you limited to the 5 gates that Nimbus gave you. You can now use all 25 gates. And we're going to go over here to the ramp. And the cargo ramp. We're going to use a little different method here because you'll notice Nimbus didn't put any ground markings anywhere. So if we put stuff down right now, it's going to be a little hit or miss. And same thing with the GA over here. We can see the ground markings here, but there's a method we can get, a backup method, if you will, to get cargo ramps and general aviation ramps kind of ready to go. But for right now, we'll just focus on this particular area. So going back to this Buffalo Niagara guide here, we can see that gates 1 and 2 are set as international and charter flights. So we'll just skip over those for now. But we can see that gates 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all American airline gates. So we're going to prep those gates. Now, the first thing you do need to do, though, is you got to come back through here and you need to label these gates properly, people, properly. So that's gate 1. This is where things get a little time consuming. I'm not going to sit here and label them all for you. We'll just get these first basic gates in place just so I can show you what it's supposed to look like. So gates 3, 4, 5, 6, and gate 7. I think that's enough for the time being. Let's look back here. So gates 3, 4, 5, and 6 have American Airlines at them. And let's make sure we didn't screw this up. That's gate 3, 4, 5, and oops, see, we screwed it up. I can count 1, 2, 5, 9. Change that back. Gate 6. Okay, so now we know that these 4 gates here all belong to American Airlines. So what we can do is we can left-click drag and select all 4 of those at once. Under Airlines, we're going to type in AAL, hold down left control, and press enter. And that's going to duplicate whatever we just did for all the other selected gates. So those gates are now all fully set up and ready to use with American Airlines. It's going to spawn in anything from a 757 down to as small as an ERJ 145 because American Airlines uses that with American Eagle. So those will appear at those gates. So what you would do now is go around and set all these gate ups properly. And I'm going to pause the video here and take care of that right now. And when we come back, we will talk about the alternative method of getting gates aligned to the real world here. So give me just a second. I'll be right back. All right, so I got all the gates labeled here. They're all numbered, and we did a little bit more work here on setting up the proper size and types that are supposed to belong here. So I switched these down to size B because only small turboprops and jets park here. Oh, I did forget to do that though. Set turboprops. So there we go. So, oops, both gates, please. Turboprops for both gates. All right, so both gates can have jets or turboprops sitting there that are no bigger than size B aircraft. They are still separate airline, and we set these gates to be usable by United Airlines, Viva Aeronato Mexico, which is a charter service, and Ameriflight, which is also a charter. Actually, you know what? Oops, I'm getting my stuff confused here. Let me get rid of Ameriflight. Ameriflight's actually a cargo charter company, so they're going to belong on the cargo ramp. Oops, don't need a cargo plane over here. But anyway, we went through here and set up every single one of these gates. There's American, there's JetBlue, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, more United on this side of the gate, and so on and so forth. So I just remembered when I was laying out all these gates, there is another decent source for you to figure out what airplanes, what airlines will be used at an airport. It may not tell you what gates they're at, but you can get a good idea of what type of airlines you're going to find at this airport. And the place where you can get that information is on Wikipedia, believe it or not. I typed in, from a Google search, I typed in KBuff Wiki, and this is the Wikipedia for Buffalo International. And almost every time I've ever used Wikipedia, they've always had this in the contents section, airlines and destinations. If you click on this, here is every single airline that Buffalo uses right now. So we got American, American Eagle, Delta, Delta Connection. Frontier is coming soon, starting in December. So I actually put a couple of Frontier gates here. No Frontier Airlines will currently spawn because none of them are inside of the AFRE data routes. But if I choose to use auto-generated routes, Frontier Airlines will appear. And once the AFRE routes are updated with next year's data, once again, Frontier flights will start spawning in at those gates. So I'm thinking ahead here. So I gave 2 gates to Frontier Airlines. JetBlue, Southwest, blah, 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 blah. Here's the seasonal guys. This is Viva Aerobus, and Dominican wings. Viva Aerobus actually has more than one airplane. Dominican Wings does not. I'm pretty sure there's probably no liveries from Bluebell for this, so I didn't bother setting it. Cargo planes, Ameriflight, FedEx Express, and UPS. Notice there is no DHL in here, and the old Niagara Airport, they had a DHL static plane over there, so that's useless now. So anyway, Wiki is your best friend, at least in figuring out what airlines are supposed to be at the airport. So now you can make a list of all the ICO codes that go with these guys and get ready to edit your airport with them. Of note, please, under airlines, type all your airline ICOs in lowercase. Do not use capitals. All right, everything needs to be in lowercase. Do not confuse X-plane. So make them all short. Now, there's some other stuff we can do here. You know, drag these planes up a little bit. They're kind of far back, so I can bring him up some like this and blah, 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 blah. But those are little tiny details, so we don't need to deal with those right now. So what I told you when we came back is we're going to get the cargo and the GA areas ready to go too. And to do that, I'm going to actually get rid of all the DSF file information. I no longer require it because I actually have all my gates aligned perfectly with the markings on the ground. So we're going to get rid of all the DSF files with one click of a button. And shazam! So there we go. We got a nice clean airport. So we're going to come up here. We're going to click save because we're going to have to shut down World Editor here for just a moment. Because what I want now is a high resolution satellite image of the cargo ramp. And to do that, we're going to use a free tool that you can grab off of xplane.org. It's my preferred way of getting satellite imagery into the editor. So here we go. We're going to shut that down. We'll minimize this. And let's go to our directory here. We're going to pull out into WED. I actually have it in here. It is a program called Wedomaker, and its current version is 2.2.0. You do have to have Java installed on your PC to use it. If not, you cannot utilize this. You'll have to use an alternative method of getting satellite imagery into your airports. This tutorial does not cover alternate methods. So we're going to double click this, and it's going to load up my Google browser here once it's done initializing itself on the other window. And we'll bring this in over here so you can see it. When you first load up Wedomaker, all the stuff at the top is going to be blank. You actually need to point Wedomaker at your root directory of your X-Plane 11 install. So I did that. As soon as you do that, all your custom scenery will populate in the second drop-down box. Go find your airport. I already did. I found Buffalo, and then it will load the satellite imagery for you. Next, because I just want to edit this ramp in as high as resolution as possible, I'm going to zoom in until the entire ramp fits. And then I'm going to set my detail level. You can go all the way up to level 20 if there's any imagery available. I know for a fact that Buffalo only goes to level 18, so we're going to use 18, and then we're going to click Make Visible in WED. It'll do a very short download of the WED information. Once it's done, this little dialog box appears. You click OK. You can now minimize that, and we can reload World Editor. Open World Editor, please. When I bring this back in, you will notice now over at the cargo ramp, we have satellite imagery. So now I can come in here and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cargo ramps over here that we're going to set up. So you'll notice now we also have a overlay WebDing group that was created, and it's locked by default, which is good because we don't want it to shift on us. So we're going to go back into the ramp starts group here. We're going to go find that first cargo. And I'm just going to go ahead and move that down here because I'm going to label my cargo ramps in a clockwise fashion, starting with this UPS ramp right here. So we'll move this into position and then rotate it so it faces the correct direction. All right. Next, we're going to come in here. I'm going to call this cargo ramp 1. We're going to set it to a tie down, which it's already done. We're only going to allow heavy jets and regular jets to appear here. No turbo props, no regular props. We're going to set the size to E for the big boys. We're going to set the ramp type to cargo, and we're going to set the airline to UPS. Turn on the taxi flow again so we can actually see what we need to see. Isn't that pretty? So there we go. Turn that off again so we can see the satellite imagery. Next, we're going to scoot over. We're going to go over here to the ramp ops. We're going to set tie down, heavy jets and jets, size E. This will be a cargo ramp, and this is going to be UPS again, so I'll just set that up right there. So when I do my little drag and drop magic show here, boom, we get us another gate. I'll go ahead and adjust that a little bit so it's a little bit better aligned with the other plane. There we go. Fantastic. Go back up here. This is the FedEx ramp here. These 3 ramps are all FedEx ramps, so we're going to go ahead and utilize those. So I'm going to go back to my ramp starts. I'm going to change this to FDX, and we'll just set this to E. That way any kind of cargo plane can spawn here. So drag, drop, and drag and drop. We now have the cargo ramp set. Go back here. Now, these planes are too close together. Oops, wrong. I'm going to actually change these real quick because in the satellite imagery, we see that there are turboprops sitting over there instead. So I'm going to go ahead and change the size to Bravo. We'll change the type of aircraft to jets and turboprops for both. And that way we get a good chance that a turboprop is going to appear there. We might be able to get away with a size C. Yeah, we'll use size C instead. That way there's a better chance that a FedEx plane is going to spawn in there where possible. So there we go. There's the cargo ramp. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to save that. I'm going to shut down WED again. We're going to reopen Wedomaker here. We still got it running. We're going to go over to the general aviation ramp now. Get that centered up, and then we're going to say make visible in WED. Okay, minimize again. We'll reopen our scenery one more time, bring that back in here, and you'll now notice the general aviation ramp is now in details here. Now, you will notice, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, you will notice that all the markings do not line up with the real world. I told you at the beginning of this video that Nimbus's orthographics are actually shrunk down. They're not to scale. So he made his airport smaller than it's supposed to be in real life. This can be fixed later if you want to go buck naked wild and just completely edit the airport. That's up to you to do. I, of course, have already done that. I've done a complete overhaul of his airport, but I can't share that with y'all because the airport's copyrighted. Blah, 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 blah. I doubt Nimbus is going to fix this airport anytime soon. He's moved on to bigger fish to fry, so it's up to us to fix ancient airports such as this that just need a little bit of love to be brought up to today's standards. So for now, though, we're going to go ahead and just come in here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the satellite imagery to just position this where the planes would be in real life. It's a GA ramp. It's not really that detailed. You know, alternatively, I could just use the yellow lines here. These yellow lines represent the taxi markings that are going to appear in the game engine. So we can do that. We're going to come down here, make sure this is set as a tie down. Turboprops and props are allowed there. Not jets for that one, but we'll keep that there. Size B, I think. That's too big. Too big. These will be size A. So we'll go over here. We'll set tie down. Heavy jets off, turboprop and prop on. Oops, I didn't turn off the jets there. Size A. This is going to be a general aviation ramp. General aviation does not require an airline code. You do not want an airline code in there. So, oops, I forgot to set this to general aviation. All right, so there we go. So now we can quickly lay down. Oh, hooray. Somebody's favoriting all of my stuff all at once. I love it when they do that. All right, so now we'll just drag and put in all this general aviation traffic here that we can see here. Don't need to be precise right now, just getting something on the board here. So when we show you the final run of this airport, we'll have something. I see a GA ramp right here. Let's modify that. Turn around, face this way, and also set you to A and ramp type general aviation. So there's our general aviation ramp. You can do put in a mix of different type of aircraft however you want. I'm just going to keep it basic for now and really sloppy. So there we go. We now have the GA ramp ready to go. That's it. all the gate assignments are done for this airport. We can now move on to part 2, which is actually creating the ground routes that we're going to use. So let's get busy doing that. All right, it is time to build the taxi network. So for now, we can hide our overlay alignment scenery there. We can lock down, all these GA ramps. I'm going to move them into the actual ramp start folder there. And then I'm going to lock the ramp start folder because I don't want those shifting anymore. I don't need anything on here selectable. When before you start building a route, lock everything. Lock it all. You don't want anything shifting on you. All right. So for this next part, you're going to need your Jepson chart or whatever chart you use that actually shows the taxi layout. We're going to use Navigraph as we showed you earlier. Zoom out. This is a fairly easy airport to do because it's got only 2 major taxiways. It's got Alpha and Delta as the major taxiways here. You can see Delta runs northwest to southeast, and Alpha moves northeast to southwest. So, and then you have a bunch of these little, Delta connectors here, D1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down, blah, 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 blah. Same with that. Then you have Alpha 2 ramp, Alpha 1 ramp, Kilo 1 ramp, all this stuff here. So this layout is actually pretty easy to take care of. We're gonna lay this out here probably in less than 20 minutes here. I'll probably show you the basics here, and then we'll speed ahead. Maybe I'll do a time lapse showing me working on the whole airport here. So, but for now, let's get the basics in. The first thing I do whenever I'm building a World Traffic 3 taxi network route is I'm going to do the major taxiways first. So that's going to be Alpha and Delta, and they're going to crisscross each other here. So I'm going to move this out of the way, keep that as a handy reference, and we're going to zoom in here, and we'll start with Delta. Now to start with, I don't have a grouping for taxiways, so I'm going to make one here in just a moment. So to start laying out the taxi network, you need to go down here to this ATC button that says taxi routes and click it. And we need to come up here and we need to configure who can use these taxi routes. And we need to configure if they're going to be one way or not. Most airports are both ways. There's a few exceptions. The Phoenix airport that I did has 2 overpass taxiways. I made the right side taxiway northbound only, and I made the west side southbound only. So that way traffic doesn't clog up on the bridges and stuff. So this is our default taxi network information. This is a taxiway, so we don't need to define a runway right now. This is a major runway or a major taxiway that's not connected to a runway, so we don't need to worry about departures or arrivals or ILSs or any of that other junk. We do need to worry about the size of aircraft that can use these particular taxi routes. Now, our largest aircraft that's on the airport, it's going to be a cargo plane here. Most likely, those cargo planes are going to come down through here, backtrack, exit, and then come down here. So we know for sure that the Alpha taxiway is going to have to be set to the size of E, but I don't think cargo planes are going to be moving down these taxiways. Well, I guess they will. If the wind's wrong, there may be an opportunity for them to take off from runway 14 if the wind is ever blowing this direction here. But this is the small pieces of information that it's very hard to find as far as their taxi flow plan and stuff. Sometimes you can find it on the actual Navigraph charts and stuff, but more often than not, it's kind of a best guess. Use your best intellectual guess to figure out how this stuff works. So let's build Delta. So right here, we're going to name this Delta, and I'm going to leave slop to 12. Slop is basically the bigger the number, the more likely the vertex pixel point that you drop is going to automatically connect to another vertex in the area. 12 is a really good number. It works out really well, and it allows you to connect your taxi routes together really, really rapidly here. So looking at our charts, we have Delta. This is Delta 1 here, Delta 2 here, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So the main Delta taxiway is going to actually start right here. So I'm going to click once and we get this point. And then what I'm going to do is this is how I build my network. Anywhere that there's a conjunction point, I'm going to put another click. All right. In addition to that, on these T-junctions, I'm going to put another vertex right in the center, and so on and so forth. All right. There's a reason for that, and I'll explain it here in just a moment. We're going to click there, come all the way down. We're going to click here. We'll set up another one here and here. We're just going to do this really sloppy at first. You're going to go here, 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 here. Keep on going. We go here. Then we're going to go to the center of the runway here. Then we're going to go here, here at the hold point, here, right there, another one there. It's just a matter of clicking where all the connectors are. All right. This is still Delta. All right. Now things get a little bit crazy in here. I think there's a taxi line missing here, sir. I think there's a taxi line missing. Let's verify that. I think there may be a taxi line missing. I need this. Quite often when I'm working on the real airport, I'll actually bring up Google Maps just so I can see a high resolution version of it. Yeah, see, he's missing there's a taxi line missing, so we'll have to add that later. So in the meantime, I know it's about right in here, so we'll just click, and then we'll click down here, and there's probably another connector there and one there, and then here. Boy, look at how sloppy he was when he made this. These aren't connecting like they should. Come on, Nimbus. I know you're good at this stuff. I guess I can still forgive you because you were young back then. All right, this takes us all the way down to the other end of the airport. Now notice I'm not going around here. I don't want to go around here yet. I'm making the main taxi paths. So once I have that done, I'm going to press enter to lock that path down. Once again, turn on your taxi flow here while this is all still selected. And that's going to show you the wingspan of the aircrafts taxiing across these sections here. So that's our first major taxiway right there. And we also have our taxi grouping now. I can left click here, go all the way down to the end, shift left click to select everything, and then I'm going to push Control G, and that's going to turn that into a group, and then I'm going to call this group taxi routes. This way I can stay organized. And then I'm going to click inside, and we're going to start on the alpha ramp. So we're going to come down here, pretty much the same thing. We're going to go back to the taxi routes. We're going to change our name to alpha. Okay, and then we're going to start clicking. 1, 2, 3. Getting a little sloppy here. We'll correct that later. Click, 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 click. Come here. That's an exit point. That's an exit point. Right there's one. Come in here. Right there at the perpendicular junction. Right there. Zoom in close. Nope, there's not one there. We're going to come over here. Where taxiways crisscross, you must link them together. So this is why we have the slop set to 12. So I can zoom in here and click on top of this point, and that's going to link the two taxiways together. So we'll keep on moving here. Hold short point, connector point there. There's the runway. We'll click halfway on the runway. Here at the hold point. That's very important that you do the hold points, and I'll show you that in a little bit while we do that. Moving up here, zoom out, zoom back in, clicking, zoom out, zoom in, clicking. There's an ILS hold point. We'll click there, and then we'll come and stop right there. Whoa, that was way off. Press enter, and that'll lock that down. I'm going to come in here and fix this real quick, though, while I'm here. Drag, drop right there. So there is the Alpha taxiway. Ain't that purty? Okay, now I kind of got ahead of myself here. I do this all the time, so I apologize. The actual first taxi route you should lay out is your runway. The runways need to be treated as a taxi route as well. And to do that, we're going to come up here, going to completely delete the name. We're going to set the runway here to the runway that we want to make. So this is going to be runway 5. You don't need a departure or an arrival because it automatically understands runway 5 and 23 is the departure and arrivals. We're going to come down here and I'm going to click on the threshold of the runway, and then I'm going to go all the way to the other end. I'm going to click on this threshold and I'm going to press enter. And there's our active runway number 1. Then we're going to come over here and do the same thing for the other runway, runway 1422. Here's the threshold point. Going to go all the way to the other end and click the threshold point again and press enter. Boom, there we go. We are now fully aware of where the runways are in the world. World Traffic 3 will utilize these. There is a crisscrossy point right here that we're going to have to fix real quick. If you want to be able to see, don't forget to turn off taxi flow. Just zoom in really close here. And I'm going to hold down the left Alt key. First I'm going to select this taxi joint, unless it already did it for me. Oh, look, it already did it for me. Good. I was hoping it was going to crisscross these 2 runways for me automatically, and it did. Fantastic. Okay. Anytime a runway or a taxiway crisscrosses another one, you have to join them together in this single point where all points converge. You'll know you've done it right when you click on that one point and you move it and all the 4 lines are shifting around at once. So, very important. Make sure you get this as lined up as possible. Make it dead center. That way the planes look really good when they're coming in for their landing and they can actually hit the center point like a pro. So there we go. We fixed that runway. Coming over here. We'll do the same for this runway. Come all the way down to the other end. And that one's already aligned, but it's too far back, so we'll push it up a little bit. All right, there we go. So that means when our world traffic taxis onto the runway, they will line up perfectly on the center line and look sweet when they're departing the airport. So we've just laid out our 2 major taxiways, Alpha and Delta. Now we need to do all the little tiny connectors, and I'm going to show you a couple of these starting here on runway 14. We're going to do Delta 1 and Delta 2, and then I'm going to do a time lapse finishing up the rest of the airport. So anytime, let's set this up here first. Delta 1 is what we're going to be working with here. So we want to transition from Delta into Delta 1. This is important because when you use the ATC instructions, it's going to give you the exact route that it wants you to follow. And if you follow that, you should be good to go and shouldn't be run over by any AI traffic. So we need to get this set. There's also other programs that can utilize this data if it's accurate. Pilot to ATC can use this to build a accurate taxi network in its interface so that when it's giving you instructions there, it'll draw the path for you as it's supposed to look. So we are now doing Delta 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go click here on that point and try to get it. Let's get it a little bit closer here to this point. Click there so that it will link. Anytime there's a curved taxiway like this, a lot of people's instinct is to go click, 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 click. You don't need to do that. That's overkill. In fact, you can really hamper your performance of your system by putting in too many vertexes because that's a lot of information the AI has to calculate when it's taxiing. So I just use a very few points here. Here I'm probably only going to use 1 and then another one at the hold point, another one on the turnabout, another one here, and then one here, and then we're going to link it to the backside of the runway. Enter. Oh, I screwed up. I forgot to turn off the runway. No! No problem. This is easily fixed. We can come over here, drag and grab and click. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to tell this is not a runway. Control, left click, not a runway. We'll click on this one, not a runway. There we go. We wanted that to be yellow to start with. So basically the plane is going to come in here and it's going to calculate the best turn radius it can, and it will stay slowed down at each one of these points. Now, if you do not set the traffic logic to tell the plane to hold its position when an airport's runway is in use, they will just taxi right onto the active. They do not care if there's a plane landing or another one taking off. They will just keep on going. So this is the part that takes up a little bit of time, because you have to go in here to each one of these segments, and you can hold down the shift while you're clicking here to select multiple segments. So I want every segment past the hold point to be selected. And then I'm going to come down here under departures and arrivals, and I'm going to set up the airport logic, the runway logic for these points. And what this is going to do when I tell WED, or when I tell X-Plane that these runways, this is runway 14 and the 32, right? 14, no, runway 14 and runway 23, I believe, yes. And then for arrivals, runway 14 and runway 23. I want this to look like that. So notice it turned red. What we did is, when we set this 14 and 23 as the departure and arrival runways, what this tells X-Plane and World Traffic 3 is, if there is a plane that is getting ready to take off, or there's already a plane inbound to land on this runway and he's been given permission to land, the AI is going to come up to this point just like in the real world, and it's going to stop and it's going to sit here until the runway becomes active again. So anytime a plane's landing or there's another plane on there, the runway gets flagged as inactive and not usable. That's what all this red stuff is, because it's already in use. We don't want it to be actively used by another plane. So voila, we just set ourselves our very first hold point. And we're going to go down and we're going to do that again. This is going to be Delta 2. So I'm going to set this to D2, enter, turn off the runway here. All right, we don't want this runway set. I'm going to zoom in to that mark we made, and I'm going to click here on the turn off once here, and another one right here at the hold point. Then I'll click right here, and we'll link it to the airport's taxi route here. Be sure you put a point on the blue line of the actual runway and press enter. That's going to link this taxi turnoff, this high-speed turnoff, to the runway. Next up, we're going to go back in. We're going to unselect that. We're going to hold down shift and select these segments all the way up to the hold point. And then we're going to say, if runway 14 and 23 are active for departures or arrival, no plane can enter this area. And we're going to do that now for the entire rest of the airport. All right. So this is going to be some time-lapse magic right here. And you'll see the network quickly being built. We're going to go ahead and build we'll build the GA ramp and the cargo ramps and all that also once we're done with all the turn-off points. So sit back and enjoy the show. Okay, and there you have it, a complete taxi network for Buffalo Niagara International for Nimbus Studios rendition of it. Now there is one last thing we need to do here before we start trying to validate the airport and make sure we didn't screw anything up. And that is to build the pushback network, okay? That's fairly simple to do here. We're just going to go to the ATC route construction menu again. We're going to get rid of any taxi names. We're going to work on this ramp over here. We're going to work on the main ramp here. So the biggest aircraft in this area that's going to push back is size C. So we're going to leave it at that. And only aircraft can use these. And no runways, no departures. So this is pretty simple. I always do this myself. I'm going to turn off that. I'm going to turn off markings because I don't need to see them right now. Oops, markings, good. And we're going to unlock the taxi routes. Oh, they're already unlocked, good. We're going to click in here and basically we're going to build us a pushback network. Now I'm going to import in the DSF file again. So give me just a second to import. And just like last time, we'll go in here, click. That's going to bring all this in. We immediately know that we have to go and turn off the baked in texture. Oh, I locked it. There we go. Okay, cool. So the reason why I did that is because I want to see the pushback lines here. I want to make a lock that down so we can't select it on accident. And now we can come under taxi routes. And we'll just start over here at this gate right here. We'll turn on taxi flows here because I don't want these taxi points to touch anywhere near the aircraft there. So whenever World Traffic 3 starts a pushback, it's going to look at the closest waypoint. And then that waypoint plus one more, I think, equals the pushback. And then the tug will be complete. So for this, we're going to start our pushback point there. We're going to come to here, and then we're going to go over here and connect to the main airport. So there's pushback number 1. And we're just going to do that for the rest of these here. Linking everything together as we do this. This will be a straight up pushback right here to here. Little short routes. You will go to here. You will share that pushback joint point, and we're just going to keep doing this, linking everything together as necessary. This way we'll have a good looking pushback by the aircraft. It'll look natural for the most part. Because if you don't do this, it's kind of a crapshoot where the pushback tug is going to push the airplane. This way, this is going to control the pushback. And this will also keep any weird behavior from happening where the airplane wants to like drive across the airport when you don't want it to drive across the airport. Because it will just go right through buildings if it has to. It don't care. Almost done with this network here. Oh, I made that one bulge out a little bit. Oops, my bad. And then this one will push back here and connect to the tail end there. So we turn that off, and now you can see we got us a nice little pushback network here. So we're going to go ahead and head over to the cargo ramp and do the same thing over here. Because right now these guys are they're going to sit here. They may actually try to just turn in place and go, and that just looks really funky. So I'm going to build a line here. That's going to go there, and then we'll end it right here. And then I'm going to connect that to that. And then we'll turn this on here, and we'll just make this the push network right there. That's a very, very tight push network there. Eh. This one may have a little trouble pushing back. And it'll be real trouble if it tries to push back while there's another plane parked there, because then he'll just pass through the other plane. Alas, we must fight whatever battles we can when we can. What we can do here is probably push this up some, and then move this up some like that, and then move this up some like this. There we go. Oop, come on, move up. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, so there's the cargo ramp push network. I'm happy with that. And then we'll go over to the GA ramp here, and we're going to, I'm actually going to hide. I'm going to hide the DSF stuff here real quick. And yeah, we'll do this. We'll come over here and come up here. Just click somewhere, anywhere, right there. Okay, and then we'll just connect that there. And we'll make another one here. And we'll make another one here. And then we'll do another one right here. Bring it in here. General aviation planes tend to move straight. They don't really push back. So all we're doing right now is just building a place for these planes to go. That looks natural, so they don't try to run each other over when they're taxiing. Okay, that looks a little bit funky, but close enough for government work here. All right, so that'll give us a good, decent taxi network there. We'll turn the markings back on. We can go ahead and delete the DSF file information again. We don't want it. And I'm going to do a quick double check here on my GA, because when I did a full test run, no GA aircraft spawned in. So let me double check my spawn network here. Turn off the taxi routes, and let's just flag all the GA aircraft here. So they're all set for tie downs. Check. And let me just set this to Bravo sized vehicles. Turboprops and props. We'll do, I don't want to do small jets, because if I do that, well, maybe. We'll see what happens. I think I have to do jets if I want to get stuff like phenoms and citations and stuff like that to appear. So jets, turboprops, and props. These are all tie-down locations, and they're all flagged for general aviation. I'm happy with that. Go over here. We'll reset this to Bravo size, and jets can spawn there. So we'll see what that looks like later. All right, so I'm going to save that. And there we go. Now we're ready to start validating our taxi flow here. So let me show you what we do next. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to click on Validate here to see where I may have screwed up when I was building on this. So see, we got your airport contains a double ATC route. These need to be merged. It'll automatically highlight the problem children, and we must find them. Where are they at? Where are you at? Up there they are. Zoom. All right, so these two little points here are too close together is basically what it's saying. And we can move this down on top of this one, and then we'll highlight both at the same time, go up to Edit, and click on Merge. Unfortunately, I can't merge them. Sometimes the merge does not function properly, so we actually have to do this little gem. Let me make sure I don't screw this up and take this the wrong way. Yeah, let's get this further away, please. If you can't merge them, push them apart. So let's see if that solved the problem. So validate. Taxi route 1432 is too close to runway 5 and must now be marked active for runway 5 departures. Okay, that was me screwing something up. Where's that at? There's going to be a marker here somewhere. There it is. Right here, this segment. So that's 1423. Oh, wow, that is completely screwed up. Hang on. Hang on. No, it's not completely screwed up. That is what it's supposed to look like. All right. Make sure this section says 1432 and that section says 1432. All right. So let me look at this again. Please validate one more time. Oh, derp. This is a crossing point. This is unique to airports where the runways cross each other. The segments that are the closest to the crossing point have to be set not only for 1432, but also for the other runway as well. We have to set all directions, or else it will lose its mind. So that should fix that area. Then we revalidate. This section across the way is screwed up. So now we need to set that up to handle all runways. Basically, that says if anybody's landing on this runway, the other runway cannot be used. All right, so now we validate again. Runway E is too close to the runway and must now be deactivated. Where is that at? Is that here? Now, here's something that'll make this actually much easier to look at. Oh, I also screwed something else up here. When I was building all these routes, I clicked outside of the taxi route box. There we go. All right, I'm going to minimize this, and I'm actually going to come over here and I'm going to hide all the airport's markings. I only want to be able to see the taxi route that we just made. So let's try this again. Please validate my airport. And now I can actually see it. There it is. All right, so this segment here I screwed up on. Runway 15, runway 5, and runway 23. See, screwed up. Oh, I bet you I did this all the way down this thing too. Oh, no. No. Yep, I screwed that up there as well. All right, getting closer, getting closer. Did I really screw all these up? Yes, I did. Yes, I frickin' did. Hang on. I'm going to flag all these at once because these all need to be fixed. I got my runway headings screwed up just a little bit there. All right, that'll fix all those all at once. Validate again. Getting close. Runway Victor, where's that at? That's down here. So all these taxiways are screwed up. Let me fix all these. Shift click. And there we go. I got dyslexic. I knew that I would do that. That's exactly why I did that, because it's runway 23 and runway 32. Dyslexia for the win! I'm probably going to have to fix all the other runways too. Yep, here's another one that's screwballed. Fun, fun, fun. I'm kind of glad I screwed this part up because this shows you some of the downfalls, if you're not paying attention, that you can come across here. All right, how's that? Are you happy now? Runway E is too short. Where's that at? Oh, that's down here. flag, 23, 32, hut, hut. Validate again. Route D is marked incorrect. Where's that at? Where are you at? Come on. Oh, right there. This whole segment here is probably screwballed, so we'll flag the whole thing. Yes, it is screwballed, the whole thing. Dyslexia. How I love you, dyslexia. Runway G is screwballed. Where is that at? Where are you highlighted? Human. Not that way. Not that way. This way. Yep, all of this stuff here is messed up. So fix. Fix. The nice thing is here, if you notice, you can hold down the left mouse button and drag and grab a whole bunch of problems at once. Then hold down the left control key when you're down here clicking in your boxes and stuff, and that will fix all of them at once. Validate. Route A is too close to the runway. Yep. Forgot to do the backside here. All right. Wrong. Right. 23. All right. How embarrassing. Oh my goodness. So embarrassing. All right, validate. Taxi route 5, too close to runway 14. It must now be broken apart. Oh, that's the other section here. We have to tell it don't use this particular runway segment if all this stuff is active. And if that side did that, this side's going to do it also. So we're going to come over here and flag all this stuff. Done, done, and done. Validate. Runway Q. Oh, don't tell me I got dyslexic over here too. Runway 14 and 32. I bet you I did this across the entire damn thing. Hang on. Let me check. Oh. I got my runways completely screwed up, didn't I? Yes, I did. All right, I'm going to cut the video here so you don't have to watch me fix this entire damn runway. I will be right back. All right, so if you're not an idiot, once you're done getting everything in place, when you click validate, you'll get this. Your layout is valid. There's no problems found. Click OK. Come up here and save all your handy dandy work. And you're now ready to export this airport. Do not forget to turn all of your markings and everything else back on. Be sure that all of the DSF information, if you haven't already deleted it, be sure it's all gone. We're going to come up here and we're going to export the app.dat file. Then we need to get to the Buffalo nav data folder right here. Click that and that is saved. So now we're going to go into X-Plane and we're going to set up World Traffic 3. If we did everything right, we're going to see traffic pop up everywhere magically. So let's get into the simulator real quick here. So minimize and we'll fire up X-Plane here. And first we'll take a look at the runway's layout in the airport selector here once we're done loading in. Oh, listen to those hard drives go as all that orthographic scenery loads into memory. Come on, read the nav aids. You got this. Okay, so we're going to go to new flight. We'll keep Southwest Airlines here. We'll go to KBuff, customize, and now when you look here, you'll notice we now have all the gates that we set up earlier. We're going to spawn in at gate 16, which is a Southwest gate. Confirm that. We'll start in the early morning hours. Good enough. Start the flight. and we will be right back when this is done loading in. All right, so here we are loaded into our lovely, beautiful Buffalo Airport here. We don't have any traffic yet, nothing over at the cargo ramp, nothing at the GA ramp, and just us sitting at gate number, whatever the heck that gate was. So, let's see if all the work we just did over the last 45 minutes. I know it seems longer than that, but really if I had been working on this without doing a tutorial, I would have been done in less than 45 minutes. So I'm going to call it 45 minutes, even though this video is probably passing the hour mark at this point. We're going to go up to World Traffic Flight Setup. I'm going to drag this over here out of the way. Keep all my settings the way I like it. We're going to come down here and we're going to generate stuff for KBuff. Generate ground routes. It has detected that the airport does have a ground route, but none has been created. So we're going to generate. Here it goes. We now have 44 gates instead of 5. It's going to calculate all those. It's already done because it's a smaller airport. And then we're going to tell it, create some flights. Go. All right, let's see the magic happen here. If World Traffic 3 does what it's supposed to do, we're going to see Delta, Southwest, American Airlines, maybe some cargo pop in over there on the cargo ramp. All right, there it goes. It's resyncing. Resyncing. Loading for the first time. The opening load always takes the longest, especially if you have a ton of aircraft loaded like I do. I have 10,000 flight plans this thing's looking through, plus 75% traffic flying through the air, and another 70% parked at the gates. All right. Boom. There it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have traffic. Oops, still spawning in some planes here. Let's press F9. Bring up our radar here. KBuff. Take a look at everything in a 40-mile radius. Look at this. We've already got one plane inbound for landing. We've got one plane that's going to do a flyby over us. So we'll close that for now. Anything over at the cargo ramp? Well, look at that. We got a FedEx plane and a UPS plane that have spawned in. And what does the GA ramp look like? Oh, look at this guy. This guy's getting all lined up, ready to go. Is that a JetBlue? I think that's a JetBlue. He's out of here. Not one single GA plane today? Tisk tisk. All right, there he goes. JetBlue is up and out. Look at him go. Up, up, and away. Very, very cool. He is out of here, and he should be showing up on the radar. Yep, there he goes. He is outbound. Go to the 20-mile radius. So, we had a dull and lifeless airport. It is now hustling and bustling with World Traffic 3 traffic. And that's the way we get an airport ready to go. Now, this is a message to payware developers that make airports for a living. If you continue to release airports without traffic, I personally am going to stop buying your products. Stop skipping out on making the damn taxi routes. It does not take that long. You've already spent days and days making 3D models and textures. What's another hour or two getting the taxi route data set up? All right? Stop leaving it out. It's going to be required by other third-party developers. We're supposed to be one big happy community helping each other to make the best X-Plane experience we possibly can. So let's start acting like we care, all right? That is a public service announcement from Captain K-Man. So anyway, that's it. I know this tutorial was a little bit long, but once you get the hang of dropping down stuff quickly and you know your keyboard shortcuts, it does not take long at all to generate a bunch of taxi routes. I am going to go back into my file here and tweak it, and I'm going to try to figure out why we don't have any GA traffic here. Maybe there wasn't any recorded in the flight plans. So I'm also going to really clean up the airport for my personal use here. I'm going to get rid of his orthographics. I'm going to use my Ortho for XP, and then I got to do some other repairs, such as adding the missing blue edge lights. You see all these little See all these little spots everywhere? Yeah, those are supposed to have edge lights. They don't. They're missing. So, also, he has his textures reversed. This should be asphalt. This should be concrete tiles. So that's it. Until next time, hopefully you found this useful. And we'll catch you later. Bye.